The person whose office I'm in today is someone who's become a very popular face among Kenyans, especially during impeachment proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Wakili Eric Muriuki. Hi, Wakili.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. Good morning.
Thank you, thank you.
I don't know what time guys are going to be watching this, but yo.
Well, now it's 11, so it's still morning here.
Yeah. We finally got a hold of you.
Well, things have been hectic.
Unatunyimanga interview sana. But thank you so much for gracing this show.
Yes.
Yeah, and perhaps we can start with your journey. Maybe you can tell people who you are for. Maybe someone who lives under the rock and doesn't know you.
That's very flattering, but my name is Eric Muriuki. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya in my 4th year of practice. I also run this law firm as a founding partner.
Is this your 4th year? What do you mean with
4 years is a lot.
Hey, you've achieved, I feel as if you've achieved a lot, but maybe we can start by where this dream started. Did you always know you wanted to be a lawyer?
Well, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer when I was in Form 2. And it's a very funny story because it started with my history teacher. It was called Mr. Ndege. We had a academic clinical one day. I think it was Form 2, Term 2. And my favorite subjects in high school were history, Kiswahili, and English. English because I love literature, and of course Kiswahili, Fasihi is literature. So on this particular academic clinic, all the other teachers were saying, very tough things about me. He's a joker, he doesn't pay attention in class. Of course, I was a bit of a joker in high school. That's also partly because I joined very young. But when we got to the history teacher, he was the first one to say positive things about me. He said I was one of his best students. He asked me, after this, what do you see yourself doing? And I remember I told him I wanted to be a surgeon. He looked at me, and I think in a joking manner, he said, if you become a surgeon, you may leave cotton in people's stomachs. But why don't you think about being a lawyer? I think you'd make a very good lawyer. The seed was planted on that day. I started seeing myself as a lawyer. In fact, I worked for a grade to do law, to be a lawyer. By that time, we had a Joint Admissions Board, JAB, and we had the cutoff points. So I got my good grades because of that inspiration from my history teacher. And when we did KCSE, I passed. I was called to the University of Nairobi government program to do law. Yes.
First of all, may God bless those teachers who affirm, their students. Yes. Have you ever met him after now finishing high school? I
went back to Alliance in 2018.
You were in the Alliance. Same as the majority leader.
I went there in 2018, and I think Mr. Ndege had been transferred because I did not find him. If I had found him, I would have told him thank you.
I'm sure he's so proud of you and he sees you on TV. Yeah?
I hope I'll find him someday.
Yeah, and, you should look for him. You should.
Yes.
I'll help you look for him.
Please do. You have a wide reach through the media.
So now you clear high school, and I understand you finished high school at a very young age. How old were you?
I finished high school at 15 years and some months.
Why? Why?
First of all, I grew up in the village,
okay.
Deep in the villages of Tigania in Meru, somewhere called Akede Ward, a village called Twale village. In the village, this concept of house girls or house managers is unknown. So when a child gets to a certain age, like me at 4 years, I was sent to school, to nursery school. This was in the year 2000, because my mother needed to go to college. My mother is a teacher, so she went to a teaching college called Kamwenja Teachers College. My mother is the second born. I am the first born, yes. I am my mother is the first born. I was taken to nursery at 4 years. I met a really good teacher called Charity. We got along very, very well. Even now we talk sometimes. She was called Charity Moadhari. That's a Kimeru name. I don't know whether you can pronounce it, but I can. I was good in school, luckily. And in fact, when it came to time to go to class 1, the teachers did not want me to go to class 1 because I was too young. But then I said, I was the top student in the nursery class. We used to do exams, by the way. I asked them, if I am not proceeding, then why should anybody else proceed? Yes, I was the top student. They tried to say, oh, you're too young, but I stood my ground. I went to class 1.
You were really meant to
6.
be a lawyer. Yeah.
At 5 years, I was in class 1. I continued like that. When I was in class 7, something happened. Class 7, term 1. I remember the head teacher of that school that I was in brought an exam that was done by class 8 students to class 7. And when we did the exam, I emerged top in my class, class 7. But at the same time, I also had higher marks than anybody else in class 8 as well, the ones who were ahead of me. My mother was teaching in the same school. By this time, she had finished college and come back home and started teaching. And I've always went to school where my mother was teaching. So the headmaster requested if he could register me for the KCP to help boost the mean score.
Hey, flex.
When I was in class 7. So I was registered for KCP. The whole of that year, I used to do 2 exams. I would do the class 7 exam and the class 8 exam. Yes, and I'd top in class 7 and top in class 8. The only disclaimer that my mother gave me is because I was too young and she was not yet prepared, regardless of what I got in the KCP, she would not take me to school. I would have to do my year, to come back and do my year. I was like, that's fine by me. It's a good deal. I get to see the exam experience before my time.
You've always been an optimist.
It's called making strategic, calculated moves. Okay. We agreed. The exam came, the KCP. We did it. I remember the results came out on 28th December 2007. I did KCP during that year when things were going wrong in the country. When the results came out, I was top in my school. What I didn't know at that time is that I was also top in my district among the public schools. Then at that time there was a policy from the Ministry of Education that I think the top 3 students in any district would go to a national school. So by the time the calling letters were being issued, because we had a deal with my mother, I had even started going back to the primary school, now to complete my year. Then when the letter came, it was a letter from the Alliance High School.
Hey, you said, listen, mother.
So as I was organizing myself to go and try to convince my mother that
because we didn't have an MOU.
Yes, we trusted each other so much that we didn't see the need to sign an MOU. So as I was organizing myself to go and convince her, she's actually the one who came to me and told me, look, I know we talked, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I was not prepared to take you to school, but I will get a bank loan and organize myself and try to make it as comfortable as possible for you to join.
Yeah.
That's how I found myself joining Form 1 at the age of 12 years old, yes.
Wow. So now you're in Bush, you finish, you clear. Bush is Alliance, for those who might not know.
Yes.
You finish, you clear, and you finish school at the age of 15 years.
Yes, 15 and some months.
And some months.
Yes.
But then you leave a huge fee balance,
yes.
arrears.
Yes.
Of 100 and something thousand?
It was 134,000.
134,000.
Yes, precisely.
And you're the one who sort of worked to clear that eventually.
So the fee there was quite high because typically term 1 would cost around 50,000. Term 2 would be the most expensive at around 70,000. And term 3 would be the lowest at around 30,000.
Okay.
So between my mom trying her best, then getting a few bursaries here and there, they really tried because if they had not been doing anything, the balance would have been way higher than that. When I cleared, when I finished high school, the balance was 134,000, and when the results came out, I had passed very well, but I could not even get my certificates because the policy of the school was to withhold certificates, including the result slip, until you pay the fee. In fact, on the day when we went to get the awards, I was awarded some cash, and I was wondering, why don't they just retain it to clear part of the fee?
Yeah.
But anyway, I took the cash. Then after high school, we needed to wait 2 years to join university. It was during that era when you had to stay home for at least 2 years. So during this time when I was staying at home for those 2 years, I would do some odd jobs here and there, you know, to just try and survive. Initially, I started by going to Mjengo.
As a teenager, my God.
At 16 years.
I feel as if you matured so early in life.
Well, I'm a firstborn, number one, and I'm a firstborn who's grown up in the village. So we have no option. By the way, I was cooking at the age of 7 for the household.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would do odd jobs here and there, and then through good luck, after the results came out, I got a teaching job. I was teaching a day school, a local day school. Of course, I was teaching people who were much older than me. I remember I was teaching mathematics, chemistry, computer, and biology.
Okay.
Those were the subjects I was teaching. Used to get paid 8,000 per month. At that time, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then you would get a few remedial lessons here and there. Be paid 300 shillings. In a week, maybe you would have 5 to 10, depending. Sometimes the older teachers, the actual government teachers, they didn't want to attend the remedial classes because they were very early in the morning or very late in the evening. So they would look for the young blood. That is us.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, please take this physics lesson for me and go and teach. I didn't fail in any of the subjects I did in high school. I passed in all of them, so I could teach any subject. Yes, so that is how I started, saving some money here and there. By the time the 2 years were over, in fact, it was around 1.5 years, because I finished high school in the year 2011, and I joined University of Nairobi on 21st of May 2013. So by the time I was joining, I had saved up some money. My mother had also saved up some money. We got some support from the community, from my auntie, my mom's firstborn sister also supported us. That is how I joined University of Nairobi. The day I came to the University of Nairobi, I brought myself from home. My mother.
For the first time?
No. I was in Alliance, so I used to travel from from Meru to Nairobi and then to Kiambu. Okay. But when people were being brought to school by their parents, with their cars and all that, from Shags, I just packed my beddings, took the money that the community, my mom, and my auntie, and I had saved, and came and registered myself. I admitted myself to school. Yeah, so I was in first year in 2013, and I was 17 when I joined first year. And by the way, when I talk about help from the community, it's not only the community in Meru, it's a wider community. For instance, how I managed to get admitted to university without my result slip and without certificates. is when it was almost time for admission to the university, I went back to Alliance High School. I talked to the principal. He's called Mr. David Gideon Kariuki. I explained to him, the background, the situation, and all that. And I remember at the end of it all, I told him, look, I need to join university, so please help me. Because if you don't, I will not join, and for sure you will never see this money. But if you help me, I might, become successful, get a job, and clear the balance. So he wrote a letter. I still have that letter to date. It's one of the documents I have kept with my certificates. He wrote a letter explaining that this young man finished high school, he got these grades, but he doesn't have the certificates because of the fee balance. So that is one person who came through for me very much. The other person who came through for me quite a lot is, I hope I will not put him in trouble by saying this, but he was an employee of the Higher Education Loans Board. By now, of course, you can tell I could not manage university without, that Higher Education Loans Board, HELB, as we used to call it. Well, at the same on the same trip, when I came and saw the principal of Alliance High School, I passed by the office of HELB at Anniversary Towers. And I met one of the officers. I will withhold his name for his own safety. I talked to him and explained my background. The challenge I had was I had not turned 18, so I could not apply for the loan. I didn't have an ID, because the ID is a primary document they used to identify you. I explained to him, and when he heard my story, he took pity on me. He told me, I will apply the loan for you under my own name, with my own ID number. Then when you turn 18, please come so that we can do the switch, so that I'm not surcharged for the money that you have used to study. So that's another person who came through for me in a very big way.
You've really met a lot of destiny helpers along your journey.
Yes.
Can I ask, all this time when you're struggling, like the way you're struggling, your mom, where is your dad?
Well, he was not in the picture. I do not know what he was doing or where he was.
Is in the picture now?
Not really.
He just sees you on TV like the rest of us.
I don't know whether he sees me. I don't know whether he sees me, but I remember him from my younger days. Yeah. But after class 3, class 4, our interactions became less frequent because they had differences with my mother. When I was in high school, he would come to see me once in a while. Yes, but after high school, we've not interacted as much.
Wow.
Yes.
Have you ever looked for him?
Yes, I did. I looked for him when I got my first job. Okay, let me just go sequentially. So, in my university days, I would find odd jobs also during school work, during school time. I remember at one time I was an office messenger in a certain organization. I remember at another time I was surviving on writing, helping people do research for their masters, for their PhD. Then I would write some papers and all that, and they would pay me. And during the long holidays, I would go and teach at that school that had given me that job. And I didn't have a debt when I cleared the University of Nairobi. But by the time I was getting to 4th year, I had become very interested in politics, and I was making commentaries on politics. So one way or another, I got to know Governor Kiraito Murongi. By that time, he was a senator, and I befriended. His running mate was my friend. It's called Titus. So in my 4th year, in 2016, I was in the campaign team for Kiraito Murongi through his deputy governor, the one who was his deputy governor. So I was helping them with campaigns, and of course in campaigns there's a bit of money. They would pay me a little stipend here and there, and I would use that to settle my bills and all that. And then after the campaigns were successful, By the way, during that campaign period, I was the secretary to the campaign secretariat. And this is in 2016, so I was 19, 20. So I was the secretary to the campaign secretariat, and I was also a digital communication strategist. Coming up with social media, strategy, writing speeches once in a while, doing research, helping to draft the manifesto for Governor Kiraito Moronge, with others. With others. You want to employ me? As long as you pay me well. Back then I didn't have any qualifications. But right now. So we did that, and when they got into government, I was one of the first people that they wanted to join government with.
Who had shares?
I didn't have shares, really. I had just done my job, and I was quite efficient at my job, they noticed, and they told me that they would like to have me on board as the transition was happening. In fact, I remember I sat in the transition committee, the Assumption of Office Committee for Governor Kiraito Moronge. So I even got into trouble with some of my seniors in the profession because back then I had not gone to the Kenya School of Law. I was just a lawyer, not an advocate. And the people who were in the legal office, right now it's called the County Attorney Office, but the people who were in the legal office, they were handing over, those handover reports to me and another gentleman.
First of all, a junior, secondly, someone who's not even an advocate.
Someone who's not an advocate, but I knew how to look at the files, look at what is happening here, the process of litigation, and all that. So after graduating in 2017, December, I got a formal contract of employment. Because between 2017 August to December, when I didn't have the degree, I was just there in the office. I didn't have a contract of employment. I would do a few things. They would pay me from their pockets. My bosses would pay me from their pockets, not from government funds. When I got the contract, I decided to work for the 2017 year and the 2018 year, when I should have been in Kenya School of Law, 2018. I didn't have money to join. It's 145,000 to join, and you also need another 45,000 for the exams. And you are not even talking about the upkeep and all the other expenses. And remember, I had a huge debt at high school. And for Kenya School of Law, you actually need all your certificates, including the KCSE, so that they can verify you actually passed English and the other subjects. English, I think, and mathematics. That's what they require to see that you've got the minimum qualifications in. So when my classmates were joining Kenya School of Law, I was working at the county government of Meru. I was an office administrator in the office of the deputy governor, who also doubled up as a county executive committee member for finance. So I worked in that office. I was earning, by that time it was quite a good, salary. It was around 50,000. There were sometimes, per DMs here and there. Okay. And the whole of 2018, the whole of that year, I was saving almost every cent that I was getting. By 2018 September, I had saved enough to go and clear my debt at Alliance. I went and cleared the debt and got my certificates. And now at least my Kenya School of Law dream was coming to be. I got the certificates and I continued to save, and I had enough to join Kenya School of Law. When it was time to go to Kenya School of Law, I was contemplating resigning. So I went and talked to my bosses and told them that I would like to resign so that I can go to school.
With a lot of audacity.
It's because I knew what the goal was. Yeah. You see, if you're an employee at a county government, you can live a fairly comfortable life, but I wasn't looking for a comfortable life. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be an advocate. I told them I wanted to resign. They told me there's no need to resign. Just take a leave, for a few years. And then I went and when I was filling the leave forms, again, it was actually decided that you can do long distance working. So I started working from home before it was popular. Yes, in 2019. Yeah. That's the year I was in Kenya School of Law. So I would so I didn't take the leave and I didn't resign. When I was in Kenya School of Law, I would go to class in the morning, then in the afternoon I would sit on my computer and do the work for the county government and send it by email, because my work was mostly to review policy, to issue advisory opinions, that's the kind of thing I was doing. So I did Kenya School of Law 2019 with a full salary from the county government, but also with a full-time job. Finished, passed 9 Ps. 9 Ps, for those who don't know, is getting the 9 passes in the 9 units in Kenya School of Law. I passed and I got pupillage. I applied for pupillage in some very high-profile law firms. Unfortunately, I never got into any of them, but I ended up doing my pupillage at Humphrey & Company. Advocates is right across the road here. That is now in 2020 when COVID hit. And then in 2021, I was admitted to the bar. Now, there's a question you had asked. Let me take you back a little. In 2018, when I was working for the county government of Meru and also saving, money for school, I looked for my father. I have an older sister who is my half-sister. She's my father's daughter. So through her, or with her, we looked for him. And the whole of that year, we were in conversations, here and there. But it never, when there is a lot that has happened and it hasn't been resolved, it doesn't really kick off. So that's when I looked for him as an adult. We talked a bit, and the rest is, I don't know how to explain the rest, but that's where we were.
That was it.
We talked a bit, and then it just fizzled out, the way, things can just fizzle out. Yes.
I don't know. Okay.
It's okay, but I've had many father figures in my life, by the way. I've had several. Yeah. In fact, I met Dr. Muthomi Thiankolo when I was in second year at the University of Nairobi. He was teaching evidence law. Okay. And how I knew of him, by the way, I was passing to go to class, and then I saw that name on our door. And of course, because of the name Muthomi, I knew he was from Meru. And then the name Thiankolo sounded very interesting to me. And I wanted to see who is this called, this big name. Yeah. I was expecting some very huge mosaic with white hair. Yeah. Then I just saw, I was a young advocate, a teacher at the University of Nairobi, very friendly, very knowledgeable, and with a very good heart. So we became friends through that interaction in class, because all the schools I've gone to, I always sit at the front and I always participate actively in class. In fact, it's only because I'm humble I would have said I'm usually the most active student in every class. Okay, let's say because I'm trying to be humble. Yes, so, and then I've talked about the former deputy governor of Meru. Yeah. He was also a very good friend and a mentor. There are very many others who have held my hand. I've told you the story of my principal. I've told you the story of the unidentified friend from the Higher Education Loans Board, and many, many others.
Do you think your life would have been any different if maybe your dad was present all through?
Well, of course, it would have been different. Because part of what has made me work as much as I do is that lack. When you don't have that financial comfort at a young age, it drives you to be a hard worker, in most cases anyway.
Are you mad at him?
Not really. He has his own story to tell of what happened to him. It's not a story I wish to tell in this forum. I do understand, why he was not there. It's not an excuse for him, but I do understand. I'm not bitter with him. I wasn't bitter with him then. Him and my mom have differences, but that's their story.
Yeah.
In fact, when I was in high school, I never used to want for them to attend events because they would not sit together. One would sit in this corner, the other one in the other corner. They would have to keep going back and forth. So I would just tell them, don't come. Whatever you are to spend on fare, add it to the pocket money and send to me. So, yeah. So I wasn't bitter. I'm not bitter now, but it's just that, how do I call it? We can call it indifference, really. Yeah. But I get his position. I get my mom's position. Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, let's go back to Dr. Diankoli.
Yes.
I saw him in your admissions party.
He was the chief guest, one of the chief guests in my admission party.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for you to keep him as a friend all along, because we actually, the public, we know you guys as colleagues.
Yes.
I'm actually surprised he was your lecturer. That I didn't know.
He was my teacher.
Yeah.
So yeah, we met when he was teaching me evidence, and he's a really, really brilliant person, very hardworking, and a very good mentor. Is I think one of the best advocates in the mid-bar in terms of mentorship. So after he taught me evidence in second year, when I was going for the long holiday, he gave me internship at his law firm. So I interned for Dr. Thiankolo in 2018 from the months of September to December. And I can confidently say that it was while I was interning with Daktari that I learned a lot of what I use today as an advocate in terms of trial advocacy, in terms of drafting documents, legal documents, in terms of relating with clients, in terms of getting business. And when we were in the car going to court or from the court to the office, it would give me a few life lessons, and most of them have stuck with me to this day. Yes.
Shout out to him, honestly. Let's give him his flowers. He deserves it.
He does.
So, hey, at what point did you guys now start work? Okay, you cleared Kenya School of Law, you've been admitted.
Yes. When I was admitted, I went back to the county government of Meru. We had an informal agreement.
You were still an employee there?
Yes, I was still an employee, and we had an informal agreement that upon my admission to the bar, I would give the county government at least 1 year of service before moving on. We can say it was a bonding contract. The way they bond you, that after we allow you to go to school, you'll do ABCD for us. But it wasn't written. But I kept my word. Yes, I went back in. I went back there in 2021, and the whole of 2021 I was at the county government of Meru. In 2022 January and February, I resigned from the county government on February 28th, 2022. After I resigned from the county government, I joined the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions as a prosecutor on March 1st, 2022. And I worked in that office until September 2022.
And then you resigned.
Yes.
So the day you shocked me. That's why I say you move with a lot of audacity. Anyway, for context, in 2023 is when we got to know each other.
Yes, that's when we met, yeah. Yes.
So you work as a prosecutor?
Yes, I was a prosecutor.
And that's very coveted. And then
Well,
you wake up and decide, by the way.
I always had the plan to open my law firm.
Yeah.
By the way, when I got my KCSE results, it was 2012 March. It was March 1st. When we received those results, I knew I was getting into law school because I had passed, and that is the day I resolved I'm going to open my law firm one day. So all these things, county government, ODPP, they were just steps along the way. So in September 2022, I resigned from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and I came to start this law firm, where we are right now.
Wow.
Yes.
So how did this come to be? Have you saved money?
By now you can tell I'm very good at saving. Although it comes with costs, there's cost when you're very young and you're saving money. There are things you deny yourself. A lot of the fun things that young people like to do. I had to, limit myself.
You are a very balanced person. I feel as if when it's time for sherehe, you go all out, and when it's time for work, I feel as if you're very balanced. Your life is very balanced, and I don't know how you manage that.
I think that's because that has come now, because in those younger days, I had to be very frugal, with money and all that, so that I could manage to finance my dreams. So when I was at the ODPP, my net salary was around 100,000. I was saving. I joined a SACCO. That's why I was saving in that SACCO. And when it came time to open the law firm, I took a loan from the SACCO to boost what I had saved. Because the advice I had gotten from my seniors in the profession is that when you're starting a new law firm, you need to have at least 6 months rent in place, both for you where you live and the office, and other expenses covered, because you never know how it will turn out. You may resign from a well-paying job and come to a law firm and realize that you're not getting any clients. So my savings plus the loan I took, I used it to cover the part of the rent for this office, and to purchase the equipment, the printers, the laptops, the desks, furnish the boardroom, and all that. And by December 2022, Dr. Muthomi Thiankolu called me to join him in the first impeachment of Governor Kawira Mwangaza. That was barely, I think, 4 months after she had taken office. And that was my first, we can say, big case, because, you were on all the screens everywhere. And I feel like that was an important launching point for my career as an advocate. Yes, because when we were given roles to play, myself and my other young colleague called Boniface, and we played our role so well that, Dr. Muthomi was impressed with our work, and he kept us on for even the subsequent. Yes.
Do you have anything personal against Kawira?
Not at all.
I want to ask you that, because we see you in all her impeachments, all of them. Well, we know if she's impeached next year, we know you'll be there.
I have nothing personal against Governor Kawira Mwangaza. In fact, when I was doing that first impeachment, I was very young in the profession. I was barely 1 year and some months in the profession.
But one might say she defeated your boss, your former boss, Kiraitu.
In the election.
Yeah.
Well, I had left the county government by that time, and when I dropped, when I got out of the county government, and became a legal professional, I dropped the heart of politics and became a professional completely. So there is nothing personal at all. It's the Kabran rule. If you have a client who's instructing you, you do the work. It doesn't matter whether I was employed by Kiraitu before or not. I was just doing my work as a legal professional. Yes.
So if next time Kawira gives you her brief, I'm not saying she'll get impeached.
Well, if it's an impeachment, there would be conflicts of interest because I have I've represented the other side before. Yes, but the cab rank rule is if a client wants to instruct you and they pay your fees, you do the work. That is how it works. Yes.
So no hard feelings, because recently I had people asking you, hey, you and what relationship will get there?
We shall get there.
You'll tell us whether you're related.
Okay.
So right, so you get your first impeachment case in 2022.
December, yeah.
December.
Yes.
That's when things really start working out for you.
Yes. You know, in our profession, we are not allowed to advertise our services. But such a platform is more than enough advertisement by itself. So from then I got a few good briefs, and you know, things have always been good since then. Yes.
So now you get your second, your third, your fourth,
and now fifth.
Until now fifth
Yes.
impeachment.
Yes. So the second impeachment was in 2023. It was in 2023 November. It was also against Governor Kawira Mwangaza. And for the second impeachment, we actually had bigger roles than the first one, you know, because Dr. Muthomi had seen that we can actually do the work. Yeah. In fact, after that second impeachment, the third impeachment, we now did without him, Boniface and myself. We did without Daktari. Of course, we had his blessing. He told us, you know, you're my boys. I've taught you well. You have my blessings. Go and do it. Yes. And that is the one that ultimately succeeded.
What are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? Yes, so that is it. That is the third impeachment that succeeded. That is the one where I did the closing arguments, which is in fact, I think that is my proudest moment, or my proudest brief in the profession, because Boniface, myself, and we had Ndegwanjiro leading the team. We played, Boniface and myself as young advocates, we played major roles in that brief. Yes, including the overall strategy, including deciding which witnesses to call, which witnesses not to call, you know, and ultimately the closing arguments that people told me were good. Yes. Before that impeachment of Kawira Mwangaza that succeeded, we had participated in another impeachment, defending the then Agriculture Cabinet Secretary, Mithika Linchuri, when he was facing impeachment over the fertilizer scandal. Yes, so I participated in that one as well at the National Assembly. Yes.
So now we recently we see you in DP Gachagwa's impeachment case.
Yes.
And you remember that's you. Are you in this case? And you wanted to lie to me. Anyway, we see you in this case. Has this become your brand now? That you do impeachments? Well, if I'm seeking to impeachment, the first person you should look for.
Well, I would hope not to be boxed into a corner, because apart from impeachment, by the way, I do other matters, and if I dare say so, I do them quite well myself. My clients are very satisfied. I have done election petitions after the 2022 elections. I defended nominated members of Baringo County Assembly in the election petition and won it. And when the person we beat went to the High Court, you know, they still retained me to defend them at the High Court, and I still won at the High Court, or rather my clients won at the High Court. So while it's good branding that you're good in this area, there is also the risk that you may only be seen as lawyer, yeah, which, you know, but the point is, if you can handle impeachment because it's constitutional, you know, you can handle almost any other matter. Yes.
That's a nice way to argue. So now, let's talk about your seniors, Ogoya and Hamilwa.
Yes.
Is there anything personal between?
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all. We were laughing the other day because I was asking Dr. Muthomi, how come in almost every impeachment I have to catch strays? We were laughing at it.
Because you were young? Do you think it's because
partly that's one of the reasons.
I was having that conversation with someone else.
Yes.
And I was telling them, I think it's you're the youngest, so and there's a lot of
No. My colleague Boniface is the youngest. Boniface Mawira is the youngest.
You'll be young in terms of look.
Of how I look.
Yeah. That's a compliment.
It's also a disadvantage in the profession because people may think if you're young, you're not very experienced, so you don't know what you're doing. So in that first encounter with Dr. Kaminwa during the Linchori impeachment, in impeachment proceedings, time is of essence. So if you have a witness and you don't help them to open the pages of whatever volumes you're referring to, you end up wasting a lot of time for your side and for the other side. And we are professional colleagues. It is in the interest of justice that the other side put their best foot forward, and we also put our best foot forward, and whoever wins, wins. So yes, I was helping the client to flip the pages of the volumes, and I caught strays. But it's okay. Even this other time, it was the same thing with the counsel Ongoya, my senior. I was just helping the client and telling the client, the witness, to ask for the specific page number. Because if you tell the witness to refer to a letter without saying which page of which document that letter is in, this witness may look for that letter for 20 minutes and you end up wasting your time. Yeah. So I was telling him, just ask him for the page number instead of struggling, looking for it. But it's nothing serious or personal. In fact, we laugh about it after we leave the chamber. You know, we say hello to each other. I don't know whether you saw, I met Dr. Kaminwa a bit after that in court. We were laughing, we took pictures, all that. I know Councillor Ongoya and I met after that incident, immediately after, outside the precincts of Parliament, and it was all friendly. It's part of the profession. Yeah. Yes.
But is there a particular reason why you maybe don't give a rebuttal immediately when that happened in those two instances?
In the first instance, with Dr. Kaminwa, it is in our community you don't argue with elders, whether it's elders in the profession, whether it's elders in that other sense. So I did not argue, I just went and sat down. In the second instance with Council Ongoya, I also did not, rebut. I just tried to explain to him, because from the video you can see me, like pointing. It wasn't really pointing, it was gesticulation. I was telling him, I'm trying to tell him to ask you for the page number. Give him the page number so that we can move quickly. Yeah, so I don't retort, I don't argue with them because they are doing their job, and they would not be doing their client justice if they weren't, doing their job to the best of their ability. Yes.
What shocked me the most about, especially these recent incidents, is how the people who were making it a big deal, because I remember watching it on TV and we moved on, and it was not a big deal until I got on X. I was like, why are people exaggerating? When X and you're saying it, like, what is this exaggeration? And it's your colleagues in the profession who know that this is how, when things are heated, this is how things for a layman, it's easy to think, he's cutting stress, maybe he's not good at his job. Yeah. Why do you think your colleagues were, it made your colleagues that happy?
Well, I'm not sure, but the legal profession, sometimes we love drama because at times proceedings can be a bit dull. So I know it's even those who are saying things, it's nothing personal. They are allowed to have their comments, and to say whatever they want, as long as I know and my senior, knows that there was no bad blood. Yeah, so I don't really mind the chatter on social media about this. I even saw that I have become a meme.
Yeah. And so you tell someone, I've always wanted to become one.
Yes, well,
so
we move on.
The bucket list,
it's not a big deal to me. Yes, yes.
Wow, that is such a beautiful story. I wanted to ask you, actually one of the questions was, what is your proudest moment in the profession, and that you've answered?
Yes, when I did the closing argument in the Kawira Mwangaza. In fact, the handling of the entire case, because the entire impeachment process was in the hands of myself and Boniface Mawira. And we had another advocate from Meru called Mwenda, who helped to collect the evidence and all that. And of course, we had Ndegwanjiro coming on a bit later to lead the team. But in terms of the technical aspects of doing the work, making the documents, writing the submissions, formulating the strategy, and all that was done by young advocates, myself and my colleague Mawira. So I have to say that has been the proudest moment in my profession. And immediately we finished the case and we won. The first person to call me was Dr. Muthomi, congratulating us and saying that he was very proud of us. And in fact, his words were, "I have been mentoring you so that you can take off and fly." He said, "As your mentor, I want you to do even better than me." And even him, and that's I think that is something he has also learned from his mentor, Professor Githo Muigai. Professor Githo Muigai was Dr. Muthomi's mentor, and then now Muthomi took us on.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so beautiful.
Yes.
It's a beautiful chain.
Yes.
So now, my last question.
Yes.
When do you think your mom, or when do you might be knowing, when did she realize that, oh, my son is actually successful? Yani, all the struggle is now paying off?
I have always, with my mom, I think she has always known. She has been one of my biggest, support systems. And she always prays for me. And she makes sure that I know she prays for me. I think she started seeing the signs when I was in that campaign team back in 2016, 2017, because I was very young and with a very prominent role. In fact, when we were doing the very high level meetings, where you just have the principals and maybe a few other people, I would always be there because I was always taking the minutes, recording and all that. So I think that is the point at which she started to caution me that, remember, you studied law and you need to practice law. She would always mention it. She would add a disclaimer that she's not micromanaging me, but she would tell me, remember, you studied law and you need to practice. So that is one of the reasons why I decided to leave that work environment in 2019 and go to Kenya School of Law. And now, after joining the profession, on my admission, on the day of my admission, she was there. She was very proud. In fact, that day was more about her than anybody else, because it was her struggles and all that. And then, of course, now the first case, the first impeachment case, she sees her son on TV and all that, and you know how in the village our mothers are. Yeah. She was sending the pictures, and others were sending the pictures to her, and how she was sending the pictures to her friends and to me and forwarding to me. Yes, so I think that is that would have to be when she realized. Yes.
Oh, we're so proud of her.
Yeah, I am.
We're going to meet her one day.
Yes, hopefully.
People will kill me if I don't ask you this. Yes. This girlfriend whose school fees you paid.
Oh, no.
Talked about it?
Oh no.
Or your ex?
Oh no.
I laid up. What happened? What do you mean you paid?
Oh no. So when I was in Kenya School of Law, I was dating this girl. I will not reveal her name, but she was in the University of Nairobi. Her background was a bit similar to mine, and when I finished Kenya School of Law in 2020, that is when she was joining Kenya School of Law, and she also, like me, did not have the money to pay for that, because actually Kenya School of Law requires that you pay 75% of the fees upfront. Yeah. And so because I had some savings, I told her, there's no need for you to suffer, just join school. And I was doing the calculations. I took 1 year to save money for me to join Kenya School of Law. And I was very, very fortunate because I had a very good job and very good bosses, who made sure, that I was financially comfortable. So someone who does not have those opportunities, but is also from a similar background, they may not even take 1 year, they may take more, they may take 5 or more. So I was like, if I have some savings, why not help? Yeah. So I did. Yeah. That is it.
And then what happened? You guys married?
No. Life happened. Yes.
So does she send you like 10%? So the way you tithe 10%?
No.
10%.
It was not a debt, and it was not something to.
but it's good when your hand is held. I think it's good to hold that.
Yeah. In fact, I think I owed it to the world, and even now, if I can help someone and I have the ability, I do it because I have been helped by so many people. Yeah. Yes, I've been. In fact, I say I am where I am mostly because of the kindness of strangers. I didn't tell you this, but when I was in high school, sometimes there would be no money for pocket money and shopping and all that, and transport from Meru to Nairobi. And my mom would be at the end of her wits, and just a neighbor or a friend or a relative would just come and say, take this 3,000, go to school. Without even me asking for it, without my mother asking for it, So because I have benefited from the kindness of others, it is only fair that I also try to help those that I can. And in that particular case, they say charity begins at home. He's a person that we were close with, we were closely related. Yeah. Yes, so why not help? Yes.
Good for her, and good for you. Thank you so much for having us, Wakili.
Thank you
This has been one of the most interesting interviews I've ever done.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've laughed a lot.
Thank you for coming, for wanting to hear my story, and perhaps to your viewers, and especially anyone who might be in a position where they are struggling with one or two things, especially the younger people. All I can say is keep being focused. Don't lose sight of the goal. Just like I told you, even when I got a job at the county government, I knew my goal was to open a law firm. So I never forgot that goal. So always keep sight of the goal, work hard, do the best. And my last word is ensure that you always try to live a fair life. You don't intentionally do wrong to anyone. And that way, good things will come your way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your life is truly a testimony. Your partner is here.
Yeah, she's come. I think she had gone to buy some things.
Your work partner.
My work partner, my business partner.
Is there, in case anyone?
No. Kwani uko interested?
Mimi naongelelea watu wangu.
Naongelelea viewers.
I'm playing. But that has been a lovely interview. That is Eric Muriuki's story. Until next time, bye.